New scientific breakthroughs tell us it is possible to look, feel, and even perform younger many more years than we think. In fact, 90% of the signs of aging and disease are caused not by our DNA, but by our lifestyle choices, decisions we make. Dr. Sarah Gottfried says don't blame it on your genes, take control of your aging. In her new book, Younger, she identifies 10 things we do that cause the damaging inflammation that makes us look, feel, and even think old before our time, a process she calls inflammaging. The good news? It's never too late to reverse course and turn back the hands of time.
So it's not Uncle Fred's genes that are causing the problem? Our physician and best-selling author, Sarah Gottfried, is with us. Sir, it's good to have you with us. You're looking young and radiant. It's improper to ask a lady how old she is. Can I ask you that without embarrassment?
You certainly can. I just turned 50.
You did? Well, you just look like 25 or 30. So what's the secret?
I think the secret is the way that you work with your genes. You know, part of my problem is that I have a number of obesity genes. I've got 3 in particular.
Wait a minute, you were born with them?
I was born with them. And when I went through my medical education, I was taught that your genes are your destiny.
Yeah.
But in the past 25 years, that's really changed. It turns out that only 10% of disease is related to genetics.
All right, you say in your book, your mother was fasting or was on a diet or did some crazy thing when you were in the womb. What was she doing?
Well, she underate, and I was born in 1967, and at that time it was the era of Twiggy. She was a very popular model.
I remember Twiggy, Sticky Twiggy.
Sticky Twiggy.
Yeah.
And my mother was 120 pounds, 5'7", and her doctors told her, we only want you to gain 25 pounds. So she gained about 20. And what happens when you undereat in pregnancy, it can turn on these famine genes. It can turn you on toward insulin resistance, insulin block, where you gain weight no matter what.
So you've had that all your life?
I've had it all my life. I'm programmed to be above average in weight. So the average woman is 5'4" in the United States, about 159 pounds. And that's what I used to weigh.
Yeah, 5'4" and 159 is fat.
It's fat.
It
is.
And
I'm programmed to be even fatter than that.
Come on. But you're not.
I'm not, because 90% of your risk of disease is determined by your lifestyle, your environment.
Okay.
So you can change this.
Well, you know, the telomeres, you've got genes, and these little things, when they get shorter, you die. And you said you can tell your telomeres. You can't make them longer, can you?
You can.
You can?
So your telomeres are interesting. They're the little caps on your chromosomes that are a marker of your biological aging as opposed to your chronological aging. And Pat, I tested myself when I was 44.
Yeah.
And here's what I found. I failed the test. It was a simple blood test.
Yeah.
But at age 44, I had the telomeres of a 64-year-old woman. So that's what led to this book. It led to, you know, I've got to fix this. I've got to come up with a protocol.
What that was saying, I'm programmed to die in the next 10 years. I mean, that's sort of fatalistic, isn't it? I'm going to die.
Well, there's a lot you can do to change it.
All right.
So I was able to turn this around. I followed my 7-week protocol, and I addressed those 10 things that can rob you of your youth.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go into all 10, but give me 2 or 3 of them. I noticed one thing. You were strong on the idea of having a power toothbrush and making sure that people brush their teeth twice a day. Why is that?
So in your mouth, you have good microbes and you have bad microbes.
Okay.
So you want to get rid of the bad ones, and that's what flossing and using an electric toothbrush does. So that can be very helpful. Other things are not getting enough vitamin D, not having a sense of vision and purpose in your life.
Well, let's go to the D. What's with D that's so important?
So D turns on thousands of genes.
Does it
helps
really?
to activate longevity.
Yeah.
It even helps you with your sleep, which is another thing that can rob you of your youth.
How many IUs of D do you recommend for people?
Well, I have a problem with my vitamin D genes.
Okay.
So I need about 5,000 international units a day. But the goal is to get your blood level between about 60 and 90. So whatever dose gets you to that range is what helps you with sleep and helps you with telomeres.
Well, you got to be running down, having your blood drawn every few weeks or so with this deal?
Well, about once every 6 months.
Once every 6 months? And it'll tell you about vitamin D levels?
Vitamin D levels. It's, you know, it helps you sleep a good, solid, restful sleep at night,
okay.
7 to 8.5 hours. That's what you need to really activate your telomeres.
Well, now, you could activate the telomeres so that they don't get short, and therefore, so you like something like melatonin. That's supposed to be a age extender.
Well, certainly you could take melatonin. So melatonin is a hormone that helps to reset your clock.
Right.
But I think it's actually better to use melatonin as a Band-Aid. And I prefer that you get bright light in the morning because that helps to activate your natural melatonin. So I'd rather that you work on your inner environment than to take an external drug that changes your melatonin.
Well, people are just barraged with all kinds of stimuli, and the one thing that you try to sleep, and yet you've got a TV going, you've got lights on, you've got lights outside. You exposed to be in a dark room? And
yes, so a dark room is so good for you. You know, I have a curfew in my house starting at 9 o'clock.
Yeah?
No screens, no laptops, no Kindles, no machines, no screens that are going to block my melatonin. So sleeping in a completely dark room and turning down the artificial light at night really can make a difference. There's blue light that comes through on your iPad or your iPhone, and that can rob you of the melatonin you need.
So you've got to turn all those things off and not have them in your room.
That's right.
Hey, that's great. Well, what about your romantic life when this is going on? Is that good for you or bad for you?
Oh, I think it's always good for you.
It's good for ladies, listen, always good. Okay, not bad, but good. All right.
It's good for you.
Under what circumstances?
Well, I think this again connects to vision and to purpose. I think having social connections, loving social connections, have been shown to increase longevity. So really having people who care about you, that you care about, that makes such a difference in your health span. So health span here is the period of time where you feel fantastic. So not disease span, health span.
Well, people are really afraid of Alzheimer's and dementia of all kinds. What are some of the things that bring on Alzheimer's? You pointed out several substances that we think are perfectly innocuous.
Well, getting too many carbohydrates can be a problem with Alzheimer's disease.
Too many carbs?
Too many carbohydrates.
As in sugars and...
That's right. You need some carbohydrates, especially for your thyroid function and for your adrenal function. But you want to get the right dose of carbohydrates, not too many, because that can lead to weight gain. And it can also lead to blood sugar problems, which is the perfect storm that leads to Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's is considered to be type 3 diabetes. Another thing that helps is to, again, make sure you're getting the vitamin D, the flossing twice a day, brushing your teeth. Exercise is also very important for preventing Alzheimer's.
Well, is there any particular medication that it brings about Alzheimer's, or what are they?
Yes, so there's a number of different medications that can be a problem. So the anti-anxiety medications, such as Xanax and Valium, can increase your risk by up to 50% of Alzheimer's disease.
Let's say that again.
Xanax and Valium.
Increase by 50% of getting Alzheimer's?
They increase your risk by 50%. Another problem is Benadryl. So Benadryl, some people take it for allergies, and that's also been shown to increase your risk of dementia.
That's horrible. I mean, I've got an allergy, I take Benadryl, and next thing you know, I've lost my mind. That's all.
Well, I want you to remember not to take it.
But it's too late to remember what you didn't take. All right. There's so many things that people are doing. What about all these processed sugars and things? They've got high fructose corn syrup in everything you eat.
Well, I think the key is to get back to whole foods. Whole foods are so important, making sure that you're getting adequate vegetables every day. I like to encourage people to have 1 to 2 pounds of vegetables a day. That's what I eat.
A pound?
A pound or 2.
Pounds?
Yes, it's so good for you. And to think of meat as more of a condiment.
That's what my horse eats. I mean, he eats hay. I mean, that's a lot of fiber going into your gut.
Your horse must have longevity.
Oh, they live forever. In human years, 3 times whatever, they can live to 100 or more.
Well, we want to stay away from the processed foods because they are artificial. Our genes are not designed to interact with processed foods. We want to think of food as information for our DNA.
I like this whole idea of probiotics and this gut flora. I've been interested in that more recently. That's very important in that, what do you call it, the microbiome? Yeah.
Yes, so the microbes that you have throughout your body and their DNA outnumber our human cells 100 to 1. It's really dramatic. And that idea of the flossing and the brushing your teeth, that's the start of resetting your microbiome.
Okay.
Now, another thing you can do is to reset your stress. So people who are stressed out, which is what I was like when I was 44, that can cause a lot of problems with your gut and with your microbiome.
Well, I understand taking the various antibiotics that or doctors prescribe on a regular basis will kill the intestinal flora and really put you in a bad way. Is that right?
That's right. You know, I think of the antibiotics as kind of spray and pray. So we don't want to do that. It wipes out the good bacteria along with the bad bacteria. And we're in cold and flu season, so a lot of people will want an antibiotic from their doctor. We have to keep in mind that viruses are not treated with antibiotics. We don't want to use antibiotics unnecessarily.
Have you got an example in your practice of somebody who had a spiritual experience and they got better because of it? You talk about yoga, meditation, and all that stuff, but what about that kind of experience? It's one of your patients. Can you remember?
Certainly. I'm thinking of one woman in particular named Dawn, who went through midlife. She was 52 when she started to see me, and she just felt flat. She felt like she was getting fat and doughy, that her muscle mass was not the same. She was sitting at a desk job and just she felt too young to feel so old. And she had a spiritual experience. Now, this was during the time that I was taking care of her, and what was remarkable was that we were working on her biology together. We were getting her hormones into balance, like her estrogen, her progesterone, her testosterone, and her thyroid, and we were also working on her DNA. She had some DNA issues that we were working on. And she had this spiritual experience. Now, everything together in aggregate created a completely new set of biochemistry. So I think that's what's remarkable.
And what was the outward result? Did she look better, feel better?
Oh, certainly. So she lost 15 pounds.
Yeah.
She gained muscle mass. She started to work out with a trainer. She had the energy for that. She felt like, you know, this makes me sad, and I'm going to get a little quieter as I think about her, because she felt like her feeling of being flat and depressed was her fault. And that was lifted. So she went from being moody and flat to feeling like she was on top of the world and that she could be of service with her mission. She's a painter. And it was so inspiring.
So you really have to have a purpose in life, too, to make it all work, right?
Well, I think a lot of people push hard in their lives, you know, especially with ambition. And there's a way that the spiritual connection can help to pull us toward greatness.
Well, I see our time is running out. This is interesting. You've got so much stuff in it. You went to MIT. You have a degree in what? Biology in MIT?
Bioengineering.
Bioengineering?
Yes.
You mean you make little artificial intelligence machines?
That's right. Before medical school, yes.
And so, my goodness gracious. And then you went to medical school. Where'd you go, to Harvard?
Harvard Medical School, yes.
Man, you're a brain. It was tough to get into those places. MIT's hard, isn't it?
Well, I am very fortunate to have the education that I've had.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, my job is to share it with others.
Well, this is an interesting book. I must say it's a little complicated, and not being a woman, I'm not all that interested in menopause because I ain't having one, but nevertheless.
There's some good things for men.
For men, too. I read it. Well, I hope people will read this and they'll get younger, and I'm coming up on 87 another week or two, so I guess I could keep going, so I've got something to think about.
Well, you're doing many things right, Pat. I can see that in your eyes.
I even have, you know, a distiller at home. I don't use the water from the tap. I've stopped all those things we do, including the teeth, everything.
Yes.
For sure.
Good advice. Ladies and gentlemen, it's called Younger, a breakthrough program to reset your genes, reverse aging, and turn back the clock 10 years. Guaranteed, if you don't get that, you get your money back wherever you buy your books. All right. Sarah, thank you so much for being with us. God bless you.
Thank you so much.